Hello, English 9 students. You are very close to finishing the play, so let's take a look at the last little bit of background information as an introduction to Romeo and Juliet. Your learning target for this assignment, I can review background information in order to prepare for reading Romeo and Juliet. A little bit of context to start with. The time period in which Shakespeare lived, Elizabethan England, named for the Queen, influenced the content of his plays as well as the way in which they were performed. Elizabethans believed the earth was flat. So that's how far back we're going. Remember, Shakespeare was born in the mid 1500s and died in the early 1600s. So the thought process of people back then was much, much different than today. The four humors. In Elizabethan times, people believed that a person's mental, physical, and emotional state were determined by the balance of the four humors in the body: blood, yellow bile, phlegm, and black bile. They believed the humors gave off vapors that affected the brain, so whatever humor dominated would determine your personality type. So, as we're reading, if we see any references to that, you now know where it's coming from. Tragedy. Shakespeare's tragedies also follow a pattern that would have made sense to his audience. Elizabethans believed that people's decisions and mistakes always had consequences, and that people sometimes had to pay a high price for their mistakes. In Shakespeare's tragedies, the main characters make decisions that upset the proper order of their world and so affect them and everyone around them. The situation is resolved only when others learn lessons from the main characters' deaths. So we'll have to see how that actually plays out in the play. Why do we read this? Why are we still reading a play like Romeo and Juliet so many hundreds of years later? When Shakespeare's world is so different from ours, what can we actually learn from this play? Well, the plays are not only great, powerful stories, they also teach lessons about life that apply to people in all cultures and time periods. And those lessons can help us when we come across hard times in our own lives. So, as you're reading, think about elements of the play that may apply to us in modern times and see what you can learn from them. Also, keep in mind, I don't want you to be alarmed by the old fashioned language. This is really a play about people who are a lot like us. And the difficult words, when you look at them carefully, express emotions anyone can understand. And remember, the play is poetry. It's not supposed to be written exactly the way people talk. The poetry is part of what makes it beautiful and powerful and worth reading. Also, keep in mind, we read another poem this semester. The Odyssey was also considered an epic poem. So, you guys are used to this. You can definitely do this. Reading the play. Shakespeare's plays were meant to be performed. They were some of the most popular entertainment of their time. So when we read the play, the point is to try and imagine it happening on stage. And we'll watch some video clips as well to help us with this visualization. Because of the minimal props and scenery, the action in Shakespeare's plays had to be conveyed through words and conversations. A conversation between characters is called dialogue. Some other things to know. Sometimes a character will give a long speech all by herself or himself, revealing a secret thought to the audience. This is called a soliloquy. We see lots of soliloquies in Romeo and Juliet. Sometimes a character will also make just a brief comment to the audience that other characters don't hear. This is called an aside. We'll see a lot of asides in the play as well. So, who are our characters in this play? Who's all here? So, Shakespeare's plays can have lots of characters. So, it's important before we actually start reading to try to get them straight in our minds. So, obviously, our main characters in this play are Romeo and Juliet, and they are arranged around a central conflict between two rival families, the Montagues and the Capulets. Juliet is a Capulet, Romeo is a Montague. So here's a little bit of the family tree. Romeo, like I said, is a Montague. His dad is referred to in the play as Montague or Lord Montague. His mother is Lady Montague. And then he has a good friend named Mercutio, as well as a cousin, Benvolio, that are main players in this performance. On the Capulet side, of course, we have Juliet. We have her father, Capulet, sometimes referred to as Lord Capulet. Then we have Lady Capulet, Juliet's mother, Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, and Juliet's nanny, the nurse. So just like in the Odyssey, we also see a nurse character in this play. The peacemakers. From the very beginning, we will meet the Prince of Verona. This ruler tries to mediate between the two feuding families. The Capulets and the Montagues absolutely hate each other. They're always fighting, and the prince is trying to make peace. He's tired of all the bloodshed caused by their ancient grudge. This fighting goes back for so long, no one can even remember why they started it in the first place. We also have Friar Lawrence. This religious leader is respected as a holy man by both sides and would like to see them reconcile. As a friar, he's interested not only in religion, but also in medicinal herbs, which becomes important later on in the story. So both of these characters, the prince and the friar, are trying to make peace between the two fighting families. Finally, one other character, we have the chorus. So the chorus is not a part of the action of the story, but a speaker who comes on stage to make comments on the action, almost like a narrator. The chorus is kind of like a TV announcer in contemporary life. As far as the characters know, the chorus doesn't exist, but he does help explain things to us, again, similar to a narrator. So, this is the last bit of background information before you actually start reading the play. I hope you enjoy. We'll start reading soon.